migrants right after their immigration hearings. We hear from two community groups that say that process needs to end.
When tenants stop paying rent, we'll take you inside the tug of war between tenant and landlord rights.
A landslide comes dangerously close to rental units in Old Town. Hear from people who live here.
The saga continues involving a notorious hoarder home. A fire erupted inside the home again.
New information in the murder of a 14-year-old boy whose body was found here on Torrey Pines State Beach in 1979.
Swim with a view. The county's highest swimming pool ever arrives in San Diego with a splash.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts right now.
We're learning some immigrants are showing up to their scheduled court hearings only to be arrested by waiting ICE agents, often without explanation or warrant. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
And I'm Steve Price, in tonight from Marcella Lee. This is happening in cities all across the U.S., including right here in San Diego. CBS 8's Alex Cheney live now in El Cajon with more on that and a rally against ICE that just wrapped up there. Alex.
Now, Stephen, Carlo, that's right. It's a disturbing national trend that is now happening right here in San Diego. I spoke to a couple community groups today who are against ICE, and they want that process to end.
They are being snatched quite literally right after they're coming out.
Advocacy group Detention Resistance shared this photo with us. It's an ICE agent who is inside of an immigration courtroom waiting to arrest someone right after their scheduled immigration hearing.
Just in the hallways of the courtrooms, they're upping their tactics in that sense. They're really making it so that people are afraid to come to their court hearings.
Ruth says that today, 2 to 3 migrants had their cases dismissed and were taken into custody. Migrants are in court to seek asylum, and it is their right to appear for immigration hearings.
I've had friends that were taken also, and it makes me very, very concerned for the status of where they are.
You show up to hearings for a reason.
According to CBS News, ICE officers also conducted arrests at courthouses in New York City, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and Seattle. Attorneys said this is part of a new tactic by the Trump administration to fast-track the removal of migrants who arrived in the U.S. in the past 2 years.
Fuera, ICE. Fuera.
Meanwhile, this afternoon at El Cajon City Hall, the group Latinos in Acción gathered to condemn the aggressive tactics of ICE.
What's the point for you to wait outside a courtroom office when someone just came out of your case with hopes like, hey, your case is not finished yet, but I'll see you in a couple months, but now you get taken?
Latinos in Acción says ICE is trying to pressure the judge into dismissing an immigration case and then opening that person up for deportation. And that group, Latinos in Acción, is planning another anti-ICE event. They're going to be marching from Main Street to El Cajon City Hall right here on June 28th. Reporting live from El Cajon, I'm Alex Cheney, CBS 8.
Alex, thank you. New tonight, what happens when a tenant stops paying rent, but the legal process won't let the landlord kick them out?
It's what's known as eviction gridlock. Small property owners say it's the result of a broken system. CBS 8's Brian White joins us live with more on their concerns and why residents say it's their last line of defense. Brian.
Carlo and Steve, we're here in El Cajon, where the landlord of this house had tenants living here for more than 10 years. And this past September, they decided to stop paying rent. It took them 6 months to get them out.
What we're doing now that we have the tenants out, we've ripped out the kitchen. We're going to do all new appliances.
Dana Logston is remodeling now after his tenants left in April after 6 months of not paying rent.
And I would request, when can we expect a payment? Yeah, we don't know. We're working on it. That's all they would ever say.
He lost $22,000 in rent over those 6 months, so he hired an attorney. Rather than go through a lengthy legal process, he chose to cut his losses.
He negotiated and said, look, if you guys leave now, we're going to forgive it, but they could have drug it out another 6 months.
For Trent Ralston, who rents out a 2-bedroom condo in Mission Valley, he says his tenant moved in and stopped paying rent after the first month. And that was almost a year ago. And it's cost him $30 grand and a lot of personal anguish.
The wedding plans had to stop. The Pop Warners and all the other plans had to stop because the financial burden got really high. It's so much that we had to refinance the house to be able to afford this.
He's gone through the legal eviction process. The judge ruled in his favor, but now he's waiting on the sheriff's office for a lockout. Eviction attorney Seth Barron says from filing paperwork to actually removing the tenant, the process can stretch out to 8 months or longer.
There's a lack of funding in the court system, right? There's one judge to hear 9,000 cases a year, and that's put an immense burden on the court, who's trying their hardest, but is simply understaffed.
Tenant advocates say the court system may be slow, but it also protects renters from illegal or retaliatory evictions.
There's, all kinds of reasons for why a tenant might withhold rent, but they want to make sure that they are protected by the law to do that. And in some cases where, it goes through the court process, it could take a very long time.
Meanwhile, Trent is still waiting for this nightmare to be over.
I've got my lock in the car ready to go, so as soon as I get that call, I'm ready.
So as you heard there, the case backlog for evictions is huge, and even if a judge may rule in your favor, as a landlord, you still face months of delays with processing paperwork before the sheriff's office can finally get out there. Reporting live in El Cajon, I'm Brian White. Back to you.
Thank you, Brian. A woman who drove drunk, crashed her car, and then ran away, leaving her passenger to die, was sentenced to 11 years in prison today. Elizabeth Brooks Fratis was speeding in a Maserati Gran Turismo last June when it hit a parked truck and crashed into a tree. The 52-year-old ran off but was later arrested. Her 62-year-old passenger was found inside the wrecked car. He died at the hospital as a result of his injuries. Brooks Fratis pleaded guilty before a preliminary hearing could take place. She'll also have to pay a $10,000 fine.
Well, this standoff on I-5 in the Carmel Valley area caused a huge traffic mess yesterday. Some drivers waited so long they actually ran out of gas. So tonight we take a closer look at how officers determine exactly when they'll rush in to end this. This is what it looked like Monday afternoon as the CHP tried to negotiate with the driver following a pursuit that ended on I-5 in the Carmel Valley area.
It's a nightmare.
CHP leaders say they had no choice but to shut down both sides of the freeway, even if it was Memorial Day, typically one of the busiest travel days of the year.
We had to shut down all the traffic both directions because we have possible rounds of fire going across, and we definitely don't want anybody to become involved that doesn't need to be involved.
The standoff lasted just over an hour, drivers trapped in the mess.
It was bad, and it's hot.
So why do law enforcement agencies storm cars instantly in some standoffs, but wait hours in others? A retired CHP source tells me there is never a time limit set to a standoff, adding even when traffic backs up for miles, they are not in a hurry to end it because safety for the officers, the public, and the suspect always takes precedence. In Monday's incident, CHP officers tried to end it quicker, but the suspect didn't respond to any of their instructions.
He's definitely under the influence of something. He's not right.
We've seen this time and time again across our county. Freeways shut down due to standoffs. This one on the 15 near the 76 went for about 3 hours. Officers thought the driver, who was from El Cajon, had a gun. This one on the 5 actually started in LA, but the driver ran out of gas near Las Pulgas. Officers say he was a veteran suffering from PTSD, so they waited him out. More than an hour later, he stepped out of the car and they released a dog to bring him down.
When we stop that freeway, we don't know exactly what's in that car. We don't know if there's guns. We are pointing weapons down range, down towards that vehicle. We don't know if he's pointing a gun at us the other way. So we have to bring traffic to a stop at a safe distance.
The bottom line, every stop is different, with one similarity. Officers will always wait as long as possible, hoping for a peaceful resolution, even if it means a brutal backup.
A bluff collapse in Old Town is causing concern for people living in an apartment complex right next to it.
A portion of that hillside collapsed on Congress Street last night, and as CBS 8's Shannon Handy shows us, it sent rocks and dirt tumbling dangerously close to several units.
Crews have been out here for hours cleaning up the debris. As for that car, it has since been towed away. But take a look at the mess that was left behind. Fortunately, no one was hurt. But if these rocks had fallen just a few feet further, this could have been much worse.
It sounded like construction outside. I was so confused for a second.
That confusion led to panic as soon as Leo Nab recalled what was towering just outside his bedroom window.
And then I realized that I live next to this like very large cliff, so it must have been the cliff coming down. So I ran out of my room.
Once outside, Leo saw the electric car he just bought 3 months ago smashed on one side by large boulders. His neighbor, Greg Holgrafer's vehicle, which was parked next to it, was spared just barely. What did you hear?
Just big smash, a big rumbling. And then I walked outside and I saw this mess. And I saw your car. My car got lucky.
Fortunately, no one was hurt and there was no structural damage. But Leo and Greg were among at least 5 residents evacuated as a precaution. Their apartment units are located on a dead-end street in Old Town that back up to a steep cliff. Both say they've always been concerned about where they live for this very reason. Did you ever think this would happen?
Yes. I was scared, and especially scared about the second hill over here.
It was something that I was definitely worried about, but I just didn't know how to put the caliber into whether it was safe or not.
The land is privately owned, which means it's up to the property owner to shore it up and clear the debris. That process started this afternoon. As for the city, a spokesperson tells CBS 8 staff did come out to assess the cliff collapse and make sure no buildings or city property were damaged. They will also be checking on storm drains and water mains to ensure they're intact. Meanwhile, Leo and Greg were told they could go back home tonight, but at this point, they're unsure if they want to.
I don't know what has to be done to it to be safe. I would like to continue living here. I mean, that would be nice.
I did speak with one of the property owners of this apartment complex off camera, and he says while he is cleaning up the debris, it's a question as to who is responsible for the cliffside. Is he the owner or is it the person up above? So that is something they're trying to figure out. As for Leo's car, by the way, he has filed an insurance claim to hopefully cover the damage. Reporting from Old Town, I'm Shannon Handy for CBS 8.
Thank you, Shannon. Right now, Chula Vista Mayor John McCann is getting ready to deliver his annual State of the City address. It's set to take place in front of the newly opened Gaylord Pacific Resort. It's one of the milestones Mayor McCann is expected to highlight among the city's progress and recent accomplishments, including efforts to reduce homelessness, increase affordable housing, and efforts to address the sewage crisis. His address starts at 6:30. We have a crew there, and we will have a full wrap-up on later editions of CBS 8 News. A former skateboarding star convicted of murder finds out if he'll be released from prison.
We have those details straight ahead. Plus, it's been almost 50 years since a teenage boy was found beaten to death on a local beach. We're going to hear from his family. They are still hoping for a crack in the cold case.
But first, what neighbors are fearing tonight after a fire broke out at a notorious home. Just had so much problems with this over the past few years, and we've been telling you about it.
And although the clouds were socked in along the coastline, we were only 1 degree below our average. I'm meteorologist Sean Stiles. I'll tell you the temperatures around the county and what you can expect heading into a shortened work week.